Morning. On today's episode, we're going to be swapping out a fuel gauge. I noticed when I was filling up my bad boy Revolt 48 the other day that the fuel gauge just didn't seem to be working right. So it looked like it was about halfway, and so I stuck the fuel nozzle in there, just kept it running and running and running, and I looked at it and it's still at halfway. And then the tank was full. I look at the fuel gauge again and it was stuck at half. So something in there is gumming up or sticking or something. Got the part number that I needed right here. It is 067-409500. If you can see that, that's the part number that I needed for a 2021 Bad Boy Revolt 48. So let's see what all we're gonna have to do to get the old one out and get this one in. This is the mower. We're gonna lift up the hood here. Oh, all right. So what it looks like, you've got your fuel gauge right up here at the front side of the tank, between the tank and the engine. So what it looks like is we're going to have to undo these tank straps and pop this hose off that goes to the fuel filter and to the carburetor, and then I'm guessing this is some sort of evap hose, something like that. But we're gonna have to pop that off, so just simple little hose clamp, and then we'll have to wiggle that, probably turn it to the side and wiggle it backwards, because we have to get it underneath this canister, around these linkages, and get the fuel neck to spin around and come through here, all while going around these different wires and stuff that go up to the electrical. All right, I don't know if we'll need to take this off or not, but it couldn't hurt. So let's get this thing out of the way, just to give us a little bit more space, and that allows us to reach underneath to get to the bottom side of these tank straps. So let's see how this goes. All right, well, I'm going to be taking my 3/8 ratchet, about 6-inch extension, and an 8mm. We're going to start with these tank straps. Just get these, well, we may end up having to take them all the way off, because we've got to get the tank out of them. We can't really just loosen them up. Well, let's see here. Let's just get them loose first. You may have to whip out the impact just to make it a little bit faster process. Unless there's something underneath that they click out of. Nope, those straps go all the way around the tank. So we're gonna have to take those completely loose to be able to get this tank out of them. Well, let's grab the impact to make this a little bit faster process. All right, this should make it a little quicker. Oh yeah, that's a lot faster. If you have power tools, things tend to go a little quicker. Boom. All right, those are out of the way. So we should be able to just bend these to where they're out of our way. All right, tank straps are done. Then we're going to come in with these hose clamps. They're just simple spring clamps. So for those, I'm just going to grab a pair of pliers. Some regular old slip joint pliers. Now, if you can see, these are kind of, well, if I point you at the thing, these hose clamps are faced that way, and I don't really, not as able to grab them from that direction. But if you need to, These things are pretty easy to move to make it easier to reach if you need to. You can just push on one side and that will release the tension enough to where it will slide around the hose. Then you can clamp on it with your pliers to move it down out of the way. So let's get you resituated since y'all wanted a closer look at it. All right. Then take your pliers, spring clamp, get that out of the way. Same thing with the other hose clamp, spring clamp, whatever you want to call it. Oh, nope, just a little bit too hard to get by hand. Slide those back out of the way. Then we're just going to turn these a little bit to break that seal that they've got. And then with some steady pressure, pulling, a little bit of rotating, it might pop off. Or you just might have to get your hose pliers to be able to get a solid grip on it. These things are pretty handy. Now you don't want to grip on it too hard because you don't want to break the fitting. Just want to get the hose off. You don't want to crank on it super hard and break it, because then you're waiting on more parts so that you can fix your machine. Oh, let's try a screwdriver. Try a little flathead screwdriver prying action here. Yeah, we're coming. We're getting there. Just don't break anything in the process. That's what I'm always thinking. I just want to get this stuff fixed. I don't want to break anything in the process so that I have to wait for more parts, spend more money. Well, take this hose. I'm just going to tuck it up, because as long as the end of this hose, I just tucked it right up through the hole in the frame there, and the tip of it is sitting up here. Because if you can make this hose higher than anything else, it won't leak on you. Then we're going to get this other deal here. Nice gentle prying. Come on now. So close. Bingo! Alright, I'm going to tuck that up there as well, just to hopefully keep it out of my way. Okay, so we've got the tank straps off. Both of those are free. We got the fuel line off. We've got the evap line off. In theory, this whole tank should be ready to come out so that we can get to our fuel gauge. All right. Now I want to do this ideally without knocking a whole bunch of stuff out of place. And of course, the tank's heavy because I just filled it up. So far, not so good. Oh, well, check that out. We got some play in these lines. Heck yeah. That should help. Oh, how are we going to get this around here? A little bit of wiggling. A little bit of grunting. What are we getting stuck on? I really don't want to remove these lines that are in my way. Oh yeah, a little bit of wiggle on. That's what it was. Come on, slide over there. And come over here. Come on, don't be spilling gas everywhere while we're doing it. Yep, that's what it was. Just just had to hold my tongue just right. I was missing that part of the equation. All right, got it out. So let's see if we can figure out how to get this fuel gauge out. Now, if you ever start looking at parts that you're swapping out and you can't figure out how exactly you need to get the old part off, take a look at your new part. So we can see up at the top here that this rubber grommet here is what goes around this little ring. See how it's kind of recessed there? That will be right up on that little groove, and then that whole thing is pushed down into the top of the tank. So I know by looking at this one that all I have to do is pretty much just pull up steadily, gently, until this pops out of the top of the tank. So that's how you figure out how things will come out if you're not sure. Just look at your new part and you can usually see where and what bolts are holding it on. Is there an extra electrical connection that I can't see on the back side of it? Use your new part as kind of like a map. And then a good idea before I actually take that out is I'm gonna blow off the tank with some compressed air. That way I just don't have to worry about all that gunk falling down into the hole and clogging something else that's in there. Try to clean it up a little bit. Plus, you know, it's your equipment. It was expensive, you want to take care of it, and you want it to be clean. Take a little pride in your stuff. Then I'm going to clean out this hole too, because I might as well blow out this dirt that normally you can't. Get to all those hard to reach areas that normally you can't reach. Okay, let's figure out what we're going to need for that. So it looks like we should be able to get a couple of long, skinny, flathead screwdrivers up underneath that so I can pop it up. That's the idea. Anyway, we'll find out if it works. Because there's a little bit of a gap right up underneath the gauge. So I should be able to, in theory, pry on it a little bit to get it to pop up. Just work it little by little. It's coming. Back and forth. Not too hard, not putting crazy pressure on it. There we go. Bingo. Then you pull your old one out. I'm not exactly sure what it was that wasn't working. That part, I can't remember how much it was. I think it was more than I was wanting to pay. But I'm not sure exactly what got it to stick. Now this thing, it doesn't seem to be cracked. But I don't want a fuel gauge that I can't trust. I don't want to be halfway through somebody's lawn and thinking I have half a tank of gas and actually end up running out. So a lot of times fuel gauges or fuel sensors, whether it be in your car or on a lawnmower, the float can crack because they're plastic, and then over time, you know, it'll develop a crack and it will fill with gas so that it no longer floats. And that's what gives you that inaccurate reading. This one doesn't appear to be cracked. It doesn't sound like there's gas in it. And I'm not sure exactly what got it to stick the other day, but like I said, I don't want a fuel gauge that I can't trust, so I'm swapping it out. So out with the old one. And then we're gonna go back in with the new one. I'm gonna leave this grommet down here so I can get it into the hole. Try to get it into the hole, and then once it gets to that point, I'll push down on the whole thing and snap it into place. Now, this fuel spout is going to be on that side, so it's going to sit like this in the mower. I want to have the fuel gauge facing the right direction, so when I look down that inspection hole, I can see it at the proper angle. So a little bit more wiggling. See if we can get this. Actually, you know what? Let's see if we can get the grommet in there and then shove the whole thing in. That may make it a little easier. It might not. I don't know. I've never done this before. So we're learning together. Make sure it's facing the right direction. Give it a little wiggle. That's not doing anything. Okay. So I'm going to try next to lube up this grommet a little bit. That way it will hopefully slide past that plastic piece. And to do that, we're just going to grab a little bit of oil. Not a lot. Just enough to grease it up a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Grease it up real good. Just trying to get it to where the rubber will slide on the plastic instead of gripping. That the right way. Okay, well, maybe that's just not the right way to do it. And now we know. That's how you learn things. You give it a try, it doesn't work, so then you give it a try a different way. So now, let's see if we can get this slid up all the way into place, and then just push it. That's definitely not going to work. All right. Now we'll pull this back down. Problem is, that I just ran into, is that this grommet, there's no way it was going to clear the hole being on the cage like it was. So stick it on there. Little wiggles. Try to press it down. Spin it around, kind of work it in slowly. Oh yeah, I think we're going now. Oh yeah. A little bit more pressure than I was expecting to put on it, but that's what it takes. If I break this thing, I'm gonna be so mad. Come on. Oh, that's a big fly. Right, well, now we're running into a pinch back here. So let's see if we can get that. There we go. Maybe we just need just a little bit more oil. Just a few more drops of the slippery stuff. Pull this all the way up. And give her a little swoosh. Cut. Try this again. I'm going to move this oil out of the way before I kick it over and make a mess. Just wanted to slide in nice and easy. Is that too much to ask? It's getting there. Yep, it's pinching a little bit again. Somebody out there's probably thinking, oh, you're doing this all the wrong way. And I might be. I'm sure there's some mechanic somewhere that works on these full time and knows exactly what I'm doing wrong. But it worked. So that's all it was. I just put that little bit of oil on the inside of that grommet, put a little on the outside of the shaft there, and then as I was pushing down, I was just kind of rolling it around. It took more pressure than I was expecting, but it popped down into place. So now we can get this back on the mower. So now the idea is to get this wiggled back up into this hole. That way it's back in place without bending up and jacking up our tank straps or any of our linkages. I don't want to break any hydro lines. And then everything will be fine. And it would probably be easier if y'all did this to empty your tank first. This thing's full, so it's heavier. It's a little sloshy. Come on now. Die. Get in there. All right. Past the first little obstacle. Hung up on the next. I gotta get these lines out here. Okay, got those out of the way. Now we're hung up on something else. Of course, stinking hydro lines. Easy now, don't break on me. Oh, come on. Whew. That thing didn't want to cooperate. So many things I gotta move out of the way. All right, let's take a look at this. Here and there and all around. Lift up and push. Nope. Because that thing is in the way. How in the world did I get this out of here? Don't you hate that? You take something out, you finally get it out, and then you can't remember exactly how to get it back in. Oh, goodness. All right, sometimes you gotta pull back, rethink, and try something different. Because that's catching on everything. Getting a little warm in this garage. All right, so to take it out, all I did was lean it. And that should be bada bing, bada boom. Back in. That's not the case. Oh my goodness. Let's get it done. Boom. I was stuck on that and over there. All I did was have to pull it around a little bit. Slid right into place. Nice and easy. Then we got to get our tank strap back around to where it goes. I'll tell you, even with a little bit of hiccups, it's still gone smoother than I was expecting. So normally this stuff fights me like crazy. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start these hose clamps or these tank straps by hand. Because you always want to start your fasteners, whatever fastener it is, nut, bolt, clamp, you always want to start them by hand before you put any oomph on them, just to make sure that they don't cross thread while you're getting started. Then you throw your you throw your stuff on the ground just to check the durability, make sure you got the good tools. Let's see here, is it catching? Heck no, we're not catching, because I got it at the wrong angle. Alright, this thing, I'm gonna spin it the wrong direction just to get it lined up. Then we'll start going the right direction and find out that we're still not lined up right. Then we can pull the whole thing apart. Start over one more again. All right, now we're lined up on there. We can crank these things down with the other tools we've got. Make sure we're in the proper spot before I cinch these down. I'm going to look over top. We're going to look down there to make sure that we can see the fuel gauge. And the wires are in the way, but you get the idea. Make sure it's in the right place so we can see it through the hole. And we're good. So we're good to cinch them down. Man, something just seems, that's what it is. That part seems off because it is. That part. Alright, now make sure this is all properly done. Tighten them down. If you were to do this with just a standard ratchet, this would probably take you quite a while. No need to kill them. Just make them nice and snug. Boom, that's tight. That's tight. All right. Now I do believe that you can order just the tank with the fuel gauge already in it, but with the cheapest I could find was like, oh man, what was like $260 some for just the tank and the fuel gauge. So I said, screw that. Now we're gonna take this EVAP hose, slide it back on. Don't forget to put your spring clamp back on it, because you don't want hoses popping off. Pair of pliers. Stick it back up over that notch, that barb, whatever you want to call it. Then we grab our fuel line, run it back down through the hole. It's going to leak a little bit, and that's okay. And put that clamp back on. All right, that's back on there. And then our little plate, which we ended up not needing to take off at all. But now we know. Two little thumb screwers. Then we're done. Now we can see when you look down through there, we've got a full tank of gas, brand new gas gauge. Whew. Getting a little warm in the garage here. So if that helps you, good. If you have anything to add to it, throw it in the comments. But it's a pretty easy repair. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult than that, and you saw it in pretty much real time how long it took me to actually get it done, and how long it took to figure it out. So I didn't really cut the camera much, except for just a minute to go grab a piece of another tool or something. But I got that from Bad Boy Mower Parts I believe, is who I ordered it through. That's who I usually go through for parts like this. If it's just something that doesn't really matter as much and can be a cheap part, I'll go to Amazon. If it's something that I want to be more name brand or part number and all specific, a part that's going to last a little longer, I'll get it from either badboymowerparts.com or badboylawnmowerparts.com. The websites look about the same, but they are two different sites, I guess. They both pop up when I look for parts, and I'll just kind of figure out which one is cheaper for whichever part that I need. And there you go. That's how you swap out the fuel gauge on a Bad Boy Revolt 48-inch. I would imagine it would be the same process for a 36 or for a 61 or whatever size Bad Boy Revolt you've got. So hopefully that helped you. I'm gonna get back to work. That'll be good.